Peace and love, African family. We're back again. Beautiful African people. Today we're doing somewhat of a special, a dedication to my beautiful African people. Uh, let's give it up for my people. Give it up for my people. Yeah, this is a special dedication to you, and also a reflection on the current geopolitical situation in the world. A lot is happening, and sometimes it's even hard to keep up. But um, as you can see today, I'm in a different type of energy. I made a post earlier talking about the matter of spiritual recentering. That realignment is so important. One has had a very trying journey, to say the least, but many lessons learned along the way. In many ways, we are better off for it. So, I'm sure many of you would share a similar story. But yeah, so the little bit of the melody you heard earlier, one of the songs produced by the prophetic priesthood of the kingdom of Yah, mm, the kingdom established under the leadership of His Excellency Ben Ami, my spiritual master and teacher. So I'm just going to play a little bit in preparation for us to continue waging spiritual warfare. Um, Today, family, I woke up feeling somewhat tired, a little bit drained, but I know it's because of the vibrations we are sending out. Hence, the need for spiritual recentering because it's getting real out here. So, no joke. You better be armed. You better be armed if you are going to be declaring attacks out here. So, yeah, hopefully the energy goes up as we continue to engage. And so let me start by doing this special dedication to my master and teacher, His Excellency Banami. The song is called The Ascension by the prophetic priesthood. Shout out. Shout out to my people in Jerusalem. I know we continue to wage that spiritual warfare even in these trying times. Hectic times to be in that region. But I'm sending positive vibes and energy to you all. May Yah watch over you and keep you in these trying times. Hectic. So yeah, to get an idea what I'm singing about, um, you would have to make reference to the biblical text. I am not averse to the biblical text. I approach it intelligently, and I do find strength in it as one of the Hebrew faith and persuasion. However, let's not get into the complexities of that. That in itself is a whole other discussion with many nuances and critical, sensitive points. We'll get into it at the right time. But for those of you who will be keen to explore, this is found in the book of Psalms 24, from the first verse. And it's simply talking about a king of glory. And in this context, I reference Benoni as a king of glory, um, for the for what he has managed to establish in the time that he lived and the kind of knowledge that he imparted that was so empowering for African people globally, those who ended up following his teachings like myself. And so, giving all credit and honor where it's due to His Excellency Benoni. So, yeah, let us get into the discussions of the day. Um, I want us to consider this special here today being about, first of all, a proper analysis of the entire geopolitical situation and what the right wing elements are up to. But we will not delve too much on that. As I said, it's positive affirmations. And so I just want to reflect a bit on some of the issues, the geopolitical issues of our time. All right. Uh, uh, as we continue to explore these issues, um, let us begin. Where do we begin? There's just so much, but I don't want to take too long in these discussions. I want us to get as much out of this as possible. And the prep for this session was hectic, especially given the energy levels. But hey, let's go for it. So, what I want to do with this session is to, first of all, inspire African people and also to share perhaps a few intellectual tools that you can use. Let me refer to my notes. I would like to share a few intellectual tools you can use as an African to counter the racist discourse currently taking place globally. And so, in that regard, I reference spiritual warfare. I know we are hearing it. I mean, I have my ear to the ground. I'm listening to a lot of the things that are being said by different commentators of right wing persuasions globally. And even here in South Africa, I think entities like the DA have finally found their voice, joining in with the rest of the political right globally. So, yeah, there's much being said. Um, in case you are wondering why I am not phased as I'm speaking about these things, um, yeah, no, I don't like to operate out of fear, a place of fear. And that's why this is about positive affirmations for African people. And so, um, just a few things to touch on as we begin. So, in that context, as I have described, you have to understand, for you to understand the things that are taking place, you must understand the fragility of whiteness And again, going back to the previous video where I explained the roots of racism and you know the establishment of white supremacy, um, and I did go somewhat in depth there to explain where all of this is coming from. So you can check out my other video that I did as I was reflecting on uh, Ronaldo holes and all the things that people have said about African people. Um, all these insults that you have been subjected to. I want you to understand where all of this is coming from. So again, if you go back to that concept of whiteness as a creation, really, a creation that was meant to support the colonial project. As I explained, that it would have been quite difficult to execute that project if the perpetrators had not convinced themselves that they indeed were doing the right thing. It was important for them to convince themselves of that. And so that to believe that they truly are superior to African people. That was important for the colonial project to have a strong logic and rationale. So I observed this sort of back and forth between John Steenhuisen and Mighty Jamie. So let's see if I can pull that up. I am not going to play that video, but what I will do is just show you what that looked like, so that you can understand what I'm talking about. If you don't know who Mighty Jamie is, please find out. I mean, the guy is always, you know, commenting on issues in politics in South Africa and so on, and globally as well. So I watched a video not too long ago of him and John Steenhuisen exchanging words. Basically, John Steenhuisen was accusing him of faking his qualifications, claiming qualifications that he did not have. And so I'm just gonna show you that you said I don't the image of that, and because also the kind of language that is used there, you can check it out yourself in your own time. But I don't want to focus too much on it. Um, so I just want to see if I can share my screen here. Okay. All right. I can't find the share button now. Okay. Well, I'm trying a new tool though. I'm recording in Canva, so some of the functionalities I'm not so familiar with yet. But yeah, let us just briefly discuss that. You can check out that video. Just look for John Steenhuisen versus Mighty Jamie, and you'll find the exchange there. But basically, it's just the irony of it all that John Steenhuisen, even by those standards of qualifications, I don't think he's the best person to be having a back and forth about qualifications and so on with Mighty Jamie. By the way, Mighty Jamie, qualifications or not, shout out to Mighty Jamie. I've watched some of your work, and yeah, I mean, I didn't need to know what qualifications or degrees you have to identify with a lot of the issues you have raised. And I mean, I found you engage quite intelligently with issues and politics. Yeah, I even think you might even be more nuanced than I am. I am clearly biased towards Africans. You know, I am of the African position, but I think you engage well, in debate. Um, to be honest, watching John Steenhuisen, I don't know if I've ever seen John Steenhuisen in a debate even, but even just listening to the speeches, I don't find anything inspiring. I know you once said that a while back that, hey, this is one of the least inspiring individuals you find in politics. I agree. I mean, it's always quite dry, the speeches. I don't find that I relate very much. So yeah, shout out to Mighty Jamie. I think you're a brilliant thinker. Don't let the racists trigger you. They're just scared, and I'm going to explain now why. They're just scared of the potential rise of Africans. Um, it bothers them when they see too many intelligent Africans coming through and wanting to assert themselves. It's a scary prospect for them. And also coming from that being a very small number of the population, there's always this fear that, oh my gosh, we could be overrun. So there's that fear. So unfortunately, and to borrow the words of my master and teacher, the master teacher, His Excellency Benami, unfortunately, they see our rise as their demise. And they may well be right. I mean, you can imagine if um, African countries were truly being run in the interests of Africans, that would disturb a lot of other interests. Naturally, inevitably, it's cause and effect. It's almost unavoidable at this point. And so, yeah, it's that thrust, that fires the global right wing. And I mean, we've observed over the years how right wing sentiments have been gradually growing, even through this so called red pill manosphere content. A lot of very anti black sentiments that are clear and blatant. So, um, now we are going to come through to talk about the beauty of African humanity, unapologetically so. And as I said, shout out to Mighty Jamie. I can't emphasize that enough. Keep your head up, bro. So, so let's share a few intellectual tools to deal with these issues. Now, today's session is African affirmations, yes, but I I also think of this as the Ubuntu Disciplinary Council. Uh, we I have, in humility, requested a few elders to assist me in this endeavor to try and bring some sense to this whole situation. So, just to give you an idea, now I've called upon a few elders, but this is not to say in the African world these are the most important elders. So let's not misunderstand. It is just what I needed at the moment. So these are the energies that I called upon. And so also, I realize, African family, that a lot of my previous videos, there's been quite a bit of tongue lashing uh, at us as Africans, to wake up and all of that. But it's okay. Do forgive me if that was a bit tough, but I think it's things we have to talk about. It's family talk, as we are trying to fix things and so on and move forward. But today we are going to do affirmations. Um, let's strengthen. Let's strengthen. Let's not only give ourselves tongue lashing. Yeah. So for the council today, I have called upon, first of all, uh, my great ancestor, Kwamasenga. Um, Kwamasenga and sons. Kwamasenga was a king who made his sons kings. And so I'm calling upon Kwamasenga and sons, um, warrior kings too, not just kings. So I'm calling on that element specifically, you know. Ndi khou ṱoḓa khani nyana, inkani. I need a little bit of that element to fight. So, I'll call upon that backup over there. That hey, we're about to engage. So, come through. Of course, Ben Ami, without question, Ben Ami is sitting at the council, uh, humbly requested by me. In my imperfections, I've humbly requested these elders to assist me. And also, I must make the point that in calling upon these elders, I in no way equate myself to them. I can't even tie their shoes, these men. So, but I do find great inspiration from them. So it is from that perspective, a very humble one, recognizing a lot of my own flaws. And although they had their own flaws, obviously, but still, you know, um, at the moment, I can't tie their shoes in terms of what they've gone on to accomplish in the African world. So uh, we then, um, so I've mentioned Gomaseng, I've mentioned Benami. Uh, Obviously, Marcus Garvey is coming through. A crucial part of today's engagement. We are going to be making a lot of reference to him and some of the things that he said. Unfortunately, I see I can't share my screen, so that will make things a bit challenging. But I will read his speech. It's available. It's his famous speech. Look for me in the whirlwind. Look for me in the whirlwind. So if you look for that speech by Marcus Garvey, you will find these things that I will be referencing. Powerful words, inspirational words. Marcus Garvey was one of the most inspirational speakers, motivators of people you will ever find in history. And so you will hear, even when I go through, it's just a little quote. I'm not going to go through the whole speech. I just want to grab a little something to reference. So Marcus Garvey is coming through the council. And then Claude Anderson, the powernomics man. Claude Anderson talks about, he's an American activist slash entrepreneur slash scholar and so on. So he wrote the books on powernomics, and basically what he does there, he highlights the power relationships, between the state, the legislative arms, and economics, and how what kind of interplay exists there. But ultimately, his argument is that if African people are, well, not African people per se, but he's talking about black people in America. But let's make reference to that. But he says if black people are to make any significant progress or to become of any consequence, they need to have an economic power base through which they can be able to influence the different forces in their own favor, so that they can become players also in the game. So Claude Anderson is key. Of the elders who are coming to the council, he's the only one who is still living. The next one is Stephen Van Tubiko. Of course, he will never stay out of such conversations because a black consciousness becomes a crucial element. When right wingers are talking crazy, you must have that as one of the intellectual tools at your disposal. So again, as I am giving affirmations to Africans, when I was at the Sia Pumelela conference in this past week, one of the greatest feelings I had as I just observed the room. Seeing a lot of African people there, and they were intelligent in how they were engaging, and in terms of how they were looking glorious. Rocking very nice threads there. Mm. African people looking beautiful in all their different hues and shades, from the dark chocolate melanated to the vanilla, like myself. Um, but one people and very beautiful in all our shades. So I felt very, very inspired when I saw that. And again, as I'm looking at this, and I try to look at it through the eyes of white supremacists, I can imagine that this kind of stuff uh, exactly inspires them or makes them happy. And but yeah, I recognize that. So yeah, Africans, let's keep coming forth into the world confident as ourselves, and asserting ourselves in the space, in the discourses that are taking place. Beautiful thing to see. So let's get into it. So now, questions of power are about, they have a lot to do with who deserves what. And as I use Mightie Jamie's story with John, um, really you have to look at it differently. Don't just see it as an exchange between John and Jamie. You must think about this more broader in terms of the white supremacist thrust to discredit African people. You know, um, it's quite important, because then if they manage to create a narrative that naturally paints African people generally as being incompetent, then if you look at the DA's talking points on issues around merit and so on, you realize if they determine that, yeah, according to their scales of merits and so on, you don't qualify to get this or that. You see how these things can affect your lives, Africans. So let's be alive to the realities of the different implications that can come from these kinds of things. Um, you know the the global right has launched a preemptive attack against African humanity. Anyway, from where I'm sitting, this is what I was seeing. When I looked at things that were being said, things like Eric Prince, mercenary from the US, saying that he thinks the Western nations should just straight up recolonize Africa, to restore order. So, those are warning shots. And even some of the stories I spoke to in some of my previous videos that were happening largely in the US. But I mean, we must never think things that happen in the US are too far from us that we shouldn't be concerned. You know, there's a lot of things that impact us from that side. So such issues are crucial to keep at the top of our minds. So those are questions of power, to determine who gets what, who deserves what. And that's where we need to focus at. Um, and Africans, you have to be confident in yourself, in who you are, and um, value your own humanity, regardless the form that you express yourself in. Whether you say I identify as Xhosa, Venda, Zulu, and whatever it is you identify with, find beauty in it and find strength in it. These things don't have to be issues of contention. Um, they never should have been in the first place. us expressing ourselves in different forms. We just need to align our interests, if we understand the strength that could come with that. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of valuing yourself and understanding that you matter, your desires and aspirations matter as much as everyone else's does. And as I said, in this time, and so keep your Vigo syrup handy, because things are getting hectic out here. Now, having said all of that, let us get into the words of Marcus Messiah Garvey. I don't know if you are still able to see me, because now I have opened the document with Marcus Garvey's speech. So this is what Marcus Garvey said, and I quote: "And as you bow down to white men today, so will other races bow down to you and call you a race of masters, because of the superiority of your mind and your achievements." Marcus Garvey clarifies that for us to have the respect that we deserve in the world, we are going to have you know um, that ability to demonstrate achievements, which show that we are not to be trifled with. Everyone in the world knows that you don't trifle with the Chinese, or the Russians. It's self-confidence. It's that understanding that no one has the final say, on matters of civilization, as Marcus Garvey says next. So that was the first part of that quote. Now I come to the main part that I really wanted to highlight for us. This is what Marcus Garvey says, and I quote: "Because no race has the last word on culture and on civilization. They do not know what we are capable of. They do not know what we are thinking. They are thinking in terms of dreadnoughts, battleships, airplanes, submarines. You know what we're thinking about? That is our own private business." I like that. That is the strategic way, and so we go with it. Um, and again, that word strategy, it reminds me of one of the notes that I made here, that I really wanted to make to us, that as I am declaring that Africa shall rise, um, but it's not going to be by osmosis. Um, it's not because we wish it to be so that it will happen. There's going to be quite a lot of work, sacrifice, you know. There's a price that's going to have to be paid for us to rise and become significant in the world and be respected, the way we'd like all other human beings like to be respected. So that means we are at war, and that's why I spoke about that preemptive strike from the right that has been launched against Africans. Um, it's very important to understand these things. You know, I remember O'Shea Duke Jackson, an African American brother. He also mentioned this, and he was also referring to some of the comments that Elon Musk had been making, anti-black comments, you know, and pro-right uh, comments. So he also referenced it that, hey, black people, don't take these things lightly. These are warning shots, you know, from the right. So we must be mindful of these things. But I'm saying this to help you understand that, hey, we are living in very trying times. You gotta keep your your senses up. Gotta be vigilant at this time, because we are at war. They have launched their preemptive strike, and that's why I'm here responding. You know, I am sending vibrations back to say, we are not going to allow you to speak such great words against our people. Again, to borrow a biblical reference, remember the story of David and Goliath, where apparently the Philistines had brought a champion to the battle, and everyone in the Israelite camp was scared to death. No one wanted to challenge this dude. But a young boy who is a shepherd comes through and says, "Hi, me, I will cut off your head, man." That's how the dialogue went. He had some choice words too. You can read the text for yourself. Very hectic. I think those words that he used could be equated to swearing in the present sort of lingo. You know, yeah, you would say, "Hey, he swore at him then," because it was war, it was fighting. There was none of, "Oh, the Lord will not appreciate what you are saying." No, no, it was like, "Hey, well, let's just try it." So that's how it goes, in war. And so in war, we employ strategy, not emotions. You know, I want us to get that. Cold strategy is the best approach. Let's not be too emotional. Let's not be emotionally triggered by all these racist ideas that are being spewed. Do not be triggered. Do not be distracted, African people. We got this. We got this. Over the years, we have been slowly growing. We have been fighting. We have been thinking. We've been trying to figure this thing out. And so the the right is feeling um, the right has been feeling quite vulnerable. Um, Hence, you see all these comments that are being made. It's in response to the potential that you have Africans to rise and challenge them uh, globally. Even. So they want to make sure this never happens because it threatens their interests, obviously. So don't be distracted. It's also similar to that analogy where they say if you throw a stone at a group of dogs, the one that gets hit is the one that howls. So you must understand that hey, the people are getting touched here. And the prospect of your progress really, really makes them feel nervous. So it's just fear this thing. Don't worry, Africans. That's why I'm so relaxed. That's why I'm so relaxed. I want us to remain focused on our program. Let's not be distracted by the races. Let's not try to prove anything. Let's not try to prove we are intelligent. Let's not try to prove anything. Um, let's not try to prove we're educated. Let's not try to prove we deserve power. Let's organize to take power. Let's apply intelligence to win. Cold strategy, less emotions. So let's not be distracted. And so let us finish up um, what Gavi has had for us. I think I have gone through all of my notes. Let us just wrap up with Marcus Garvey's words. Um, so let me repeat that paragraph again so that you can be inspired, Africans. I remember I was watching another podcast and they were talking about architecture. And this whole idea that some of us Africans have in our minds where we think about uh, creating or building things that have our African aesthetic, but applying, modern scientific approaches and engineering and so on and things like that, but also combining that with indigenous sciences as well. So apparently there are some Europeans who have critiqued this and said that it's not authentically African. It's just a copy of what white people do and so on. And hey, and this is why this quote by Marcus Garvey is so important. That you know, listen to what he says, and I quote: "Because no race has the last word on culture and on civilization." That's important. You know, there's no one who can claim that no, this is our science. What? I mean, realistically, if you want to be technical about it, Europe rose on the foundation of knowledge systems from all around the world. You know, it's not it's not all their genius. You understand? They have contributions they have made, but it's not all of it that belongs to them. So they can't really claim knowledge like that. You understand? So what I'm saying is, let's accept ourselves Africans. When someone comes and says, you are just mimicking, you are just copying, fine, as long as we get the win. So let's focus. Let's not be distracted in all these debates. Now we have to be in build mode. So let's go in that direction. And as I quote Marcus Garvey, because no race has the last word on culture and on civilization. We can draw all knowledge in the universe and use it for our own purposes. And don't let anyone tell you you can't do that. We can do that if we want to. We don't need to explain ourselves. And we can do that and still say we are setting ourselves as Africans. There's no contradiction there. As I continue with Garvey's quote, they do not know what we are capable of. They do not know what we are thinking. They are thinking in terms of dreadnoughts, battleships, airplanes, submarines. You know what we're thinking about? That is our own private business. So give us credit for being able to use our minds. I will change that a bit to say, Africans, give yourselves credit for being able to use your minds. Because some of you have incredible stories of struggle and yet you still succeeded. Can you imagine if the playing field was truly level, how far you could go? I mean, look what you've done with less. So, yo, give yourselves credit for being able to use your minds. And remember, African affirmations, yo, affirmations. And I continue the quote. So, give us credit for being able to use our minds, and with people becoming conscious of themselves, determined to use their minds, you do not know to what extent they can go. Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. Close quote. And so that is what I am bringing to you. And I would encourage everyone to check out some of Marcus Garvey's works. The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. I believe that's what it is called, where you will find a lot of, his speeches and his ideas. Very powerful ideas, very affirming, very empowering, and inspiring. And so I encourage that as we close off this African affirmation session. African family, I hope you did enjoy this. And if you have any questions, or comments, throw it in the comments. Throw it in the comments section. Let's engage about these things. What do you think about what has come forth from this special sitting of the Ubuntu Disciplinary Council? And of course, the people who this DC was formed for are the right wingers. And that's why I had to bring these elders, to call people to order. I did not speak very much about Claude Anderson, but look into his concepts around powernomics. That's very crucial, especially now when we are talking about issues around business, enterprise, and so on. He has a model that he lays out, and I think we need to get those among us who are inclined towards economics are gonna need to start looking into that model and advise us in terms of what is viable, and also what could work in our context and what couldn't work. So because it's not just about copying, but we should benchmark ideas and see how well they can work. And of course, we must use data science. I can't say that enough. But anyway, African family, relax. Don't react. Don't be reactive to all of these discourses, these racist discourses that are taking place globally. Don't react. They're just trying to trigger you because they're scared. They're scared that their world is crumbling around them. and they are being challenged and contested for power globally. So they're trying to scramble to keep their power. So, but I know for sure victory won't come easy. Believe you me. Nothing is going to be given, as I keep saying. But yeah, let's keep strong. Let's stay strong, and don't forget that spiritual center. Whatever it is for you, you better find that authentic place where you know that you are truly empowered to fend off all forms of attacks at the intellectual or spiritual realms. Stay strong, Africans. Stay vigilant, and again, embrace and love your own humanity and assert yourself as such confidently without a care as to who says what. Eh, ngori abene limuraudziwa ngamasenga varaudzi vachinavini chinavera vaviya chivanaveri, and that's who I am. That's what I'm about. Um, and no shame to associate very closely and very intimately with my ancestors, the people I come from, you know. And yeah, no apology for that one. And so I really hope that also this special session triggers, you know, the white supremacists all over the world as they watch this. May they be triggered because of the content, but also the very relaxed and sober manner in which this is delivered. We're not emotionally triggered. Uh, and I know that was the intention of all these narratives. So I'm saying, Africans, don't be triggered. We got this. Let's just focus on our program and keep building and working. Uh, Peace and love, family. Yeah, stay in the fight. And love and protect yourself, and love and protect each other. And shout out to Mightie Jamie again, my brother. Not on my watch. They're not going to come for you easily while we are here. When we are here, we will respond. We will send back very strong vibrations to their side. Uh, I wonder, Jamie, maybe set up a debate with Steenhuisen, I would love to see how that would go. Um, yeah, I'd love to see how that would go. But I know I would always anticipate a mighty Jamie victory. Anyway, fam, I could go on talking forever. I talk a lot. Peace and love, family.
He's got great upper body, great lateral movement. He's very, peripheral vision. He's very good reflexes. He's not easy to catch clean. You can't even land. You can't catch them. It's very demoralising.
Well, Whittaker is going to get told off for that. He stood up tall and he just
slapped him on the top of the head, really.
Whittaker's antics are maybe just riling Gravia up a little bit here. He's setting his feet and looking to let his hands go, but that could suit Ben Whittaker possibly.
But again, he's just kind of goading him here, embarrassing him. And
he has had his own successes, just obviously not enough. That was a great body shot from Whittaker and he felt that his hand dropped immediately.
Gravia in a little bit of trouble here, backed up to the corner, sinks down onto the bottom rope. Ben Whittaker provides the finish.